The universe is everything we can touch, feel, sense, measure or detect. It includes living things, planets, stars, galaxies, dust clouds, light and even time. The universe contains billions of galaxies, is containing millions or billions of stars. The space between the stars and galaxies is largely empty. But one day all the galaxies, stars, planets and humanity will be gone. One day the universe will die. But why and how? And will the universe be dead forever? And how do we know that? First of all, the universe is expanding. For a long time, scientists including Albert Einstein thought the universe was static and infinite. But American astronomer Edwin Hubble and others discovered in the 1920s that the universe is expanding by showing that most galaxies are receding from the Milky Way, and the farther away they are, the faster they are receding. And not only the universe is expanding, the rate of its expansion is also accelerating. This means it must have originated from a more compact state that we call the Big Bang, implying that time does have a beginning and it will likely have an end. By studying ancient light, astronomers can see the so-called relic radiation from the Big Bang, also known as cosmic microwave background. As the name suggested, Einstein's special theory of relativity showed that time is relative. The faster you move relative to me, the slower time will pass for you relative to my perception of time. This means that in our universe of expanding galaxies, spinning stars and planets, experience of time vary and everything past, present and future is relative. Cosmologists have used this theory as well as data from studies of cosmic background radiation to determine the cosmic age of the universe to be around 13.8 billion years old, and this can help predict how and when the universe could end. Here are the three theories proposing how that end could come to be. First, the Big Rip. If the Big Rip does happen, it will destroy the universe 22 billion years from now. The first theory claims the universe will end with a Big Rip, as the pull of the universe expansion gets stronger than the gravity it contains. This would tear apart galaxies followed by black holes, stars and even our own planet. Earth and humanity with it could slowly decay into radiation, collapse in on itself or be ripped apart as the universe expansion ramps up. This would leave the universe full of single disconnected particles. Until around 5 billion years ago, the universe expansion was slow due to its strong gravitational pull. A model Desconces hypothesis suggested that the expansion of the universe will eventually become infinite, but in the future it will eventually reach the point where all the forces that hold it together would be overcome by dark energy. Dark energy is the rather mysterious force that is predicted to make up 68% of the energy of the observable universe. Desconces hypothesis said that a Big Rip can occur if dark energy overwhelms gravitational, electromagnetic and weak nuclear forces. It can rip apart single atoms and the universe could literally come apart. Number 2. Big Crunch. The Big Crunch is one of the scenarios predicted by scientists in which the universe may end. It tells us that the universe expansion, which is due to the Big Bang, will not continue forever. Instead, at a certain point in time, it will stop expanding and collapse into itself, pulling everything with it until it eventually turns into the biggest black hole ever. If Big Bang happens in reverse, everything will implode back into a singularity. Well, we all know how everything is squashed when in that hole, hence the name Big Crunch. For scientists to predict with certainty the possibility of a Big Crunch, they will have to determine certain properties of the universe. One of them is its density. It is believed that if the density is larger than a certain value known as the critical density, an eventual collapse is highly possible. Researchers recently claimed to have proved that this process known as a phase transition could already be occurring in our universe. A phase transition occurred 1/10 of a billionth of a second after the Big Bang, causing a shift in the fabric of a space-time. During this transition, empty space became filled with an invisible substance, now known as the Higgs field. If a dense Higgs field exists, the researchers believe a bubble of this state could appear anywhere in the universe at any time, and then expand at the speed of light, entering all space and turning the Higgs field from the state it is in now into a new one. Some argue dark energy could cause such a quantum fluctuations, which in turn could cause a new Big Bang to end our timeline and start a new one. This is the least likely of the scenario based on what we currently know about physics but has been speculated. Number 3. The Big Freeze. The third theory stated that the universe could end due to a big freeze, also somewhat conversely called heat death. This scenario is believed to be the most likely according to what we already know about physics and the universe. This term comes from the theory that in the universe and other isolated systems, entropy will increase until it reaches a maximum value. Entropy comes from a principle of thermodynamics that covers energy and especially refers to the idea that everything in the universe eventually moves from order to disorder. As a result, entropy is the measurement of that shift. Once entropy reaches its maximum, theoretical physicists believe that heat in the system will distribute evenly. This means there would be no more room for usable energy or heat to exist and the universe would die from a heat death. Put simply, mechanical motion with the universe will cease. During this big freeze, the universe would in theory become so vast that supplies of gas would be spread so thin that no new stars can form. Under that model, time becomes an endless void in which nothing ever happens as there is little to no energy left in the universe. So what will actually happen to the universe in the end? At the moment, heat death seems the most likely, but we hope that this death forever stop is wrong and the universe will start over and over again. We don't know for sure either way, so let's just assume the most uplifting theory is true.